This channel is supported by Truefire. Truefire is an online library.
You can get the Truefire All Access Pass for as cheap as they ever do it, the $99 thing. So just jump and do that if you're looking for the best price you can get Truefire All Access for.
Okay, so I got an opportunity last night to actually gig the Helix Stadium XL. I was playing at Exeter Chiefs, which is a rugby team if you're based anywhere outside of the UK or not into rugby. There's a venue called Sandy Park. It's the coldest I've ever been, and it turns out that there's essentially two instruments that it's a really bad idea to play in the cold. One is the guitar, because you're going to lose all your fingers. The other one is the banjo, because it's just a bad instrument to play in general, right? No, actually, so this was a duo, and playing with my buddy Jack, and he's on sax, which it turns out does not react well to the cold either, so his instrument was kind of drifting all over the place, so we had to basically move his mouthpiece to kind of accommodate for how cold his instrument was, and then we'd try and like land somewhere in the middle. I'd play like a semitone down from record, and he'd play like it was challenging, but it was a chance to use the Helix Stadium XL, and I thought I'd go into a bit of detail around that, and it's an all-round good experience. Now, here's the first thing to say, I guess, that my normal gig situation, if I'm not taking an amp, has been the Fractal FM9 for a good long while, and I think it will remain that as far as I can tell at the moment, because I need to kind of set something up. But this was a scenario where I knew that basically it'd be like a minimal kind of setup time, but also that I needed something that a saxophone could also plug into. So the Helix Stadium XL kind of fits that bill, and it's a unit that I'm confident enough in how Helix works, and also the touchscreen, I could easily do something like this quickly. In terms of size, I think, as well, so I'm not going to do too much in the way of comparison between Fractal and Helix Stadium, just because I think it would be a bit disrespectful to both companies, given that I work for both. But you see, the Helix Stadium is a bit smaller in this dimension, but a bit bigger in this. So I think on balance, the Stadium is probably a bit bigger. If we had the Tonemaster Pro, I think this is going to be bigger in some dimensions, smaller in others. Okay, smaller in general, like I say, the Tonemaster Pro is. I will do a video on that at some point, because I think that is important, and I don't work for Fender, so. The one thing I would also say is that typically, if I got an HX Stomp that I've been gigging, something like that, one of the things that kind of give me anxiety is the power supply, and that was the worst thing I think about the Quad Cortex, is that that's like a non-standard power supply, that if you forget that power supply or it breaks, there are pros that have talked about this as well, that you're kind of stuck. Now you could of course buy like a Chiox or something like that, but I think nothing really beats the IEC cable as just a general proposition. I think it's a great idea. Now I would also say that I have changed my mind, and I would say to you that I've been a dyed-in-the-wool, like I don't really want a touchscreen on my modeler sort of situation. Like I didn't feel like the Helix needed a touchscreen, and a lot of the other touchscreen devices that I've used So whether it's at the budget end, like the Ampero Stomp or stuff like that, it's kind of like not been super responsive. The headrush stuff is kind of like okay, but I didn't really find it to be much quicker or anything else. The Tone Master Pro, you know, I think it looks quite pretty, but at the end of the day, I also feel like it sort of then feels in some ways like a little bit cheapish looking. Whereas the Stadium has been done in such a way that because it's paired with like the seriousness of the Helix, that I think they've actually just managed to come up with a way that is just quicker for dealing with the Helix. And for me, that is a big thing. So this was the preset that I just threw together on the ground. So I was using a deluxe reverb. I had a polycapo to chuck down the bass if I wanted to, but I didn't really do that too much. And I had a reverb. Glitz reverb. So that's obviously very easy to run on a Helix or on this. And then the second path, I just set the input up to be the microphone. You do still have to go into the global settings to turn on the whatchamacallit, phantom power. So you go in here, global settings, ins and outs maybe. Yeah, ins and outs. You've got a mic trim and also the 48 volts thing, phantom, mic in, phantom. So I had to turn that on, and then I turned up the mic gain. I also turned the XLR out level to mic, and yeah, you've also got ground lift there if you want it. Now, on this basis, I think it would also be nice for and maybe this is here. Yeah, there it is. So I didn't realize this at the time, but you've got like a thing here where you could use this as a mixer, essentially. So what you do is you got 1A here, 1B, 2A, 2B. So I could literally turn the sax up here. Or take the guitar down 1A. So it sort of flips our signal chain that is over here to the vertical sort of space. So that is a real thing. So you've got your signal chain here, jump into your mixer, and if you were using a couple of instruments, you know, I can turn the guitar down relative and turn the sax up here. I didn't figure that out at the time, but that is worth knowing. And then you've also got your output, or like this part of your mixer, which controls like your general output, and you can have different for the headphone, for the XLR, and for the jacks. All of those, I guess, at the starting point you want at 0 dB. But yeah, click this little one here, and then you can mix the actual preset in that way. I think that's really clever. And as I say, what I think matters most of all is that it's very quick now to do these things, whereas like some of these other devices either are not as capable as the Helix. So I'm thinking squarely maybe about Quad Cortex in this regard, where like the foot switching is kind of still not as flexible anywhere near as Line 6. So as much as it's a powerful unit and a good sounding unit, the foot switching for me was always like the downside. And I also felt like when I gigged the Quad Cortex, it was kind of, the screen didn't marry up with those foot switches so well, so I couldn't really tell necessarily what was under my feet as easily. Whereas this, with your colours and scribble strips and touchscreen, I do think it kind of puts it in probably like the premium of the gigging sort of floor devices, you know, in terms of being quick, easy to use, sounding good, but also super tweakable, and the ability to do things on the fly without having to be like a super expert or having to read a manual. This is actually now quite a lot closer to something like an Allen and Heath mixer, which is pretty interesting. And to me, maybe is a little bit of a side quest where you think, well, actually, is this what most guitarists are going to need? And I think that about the showcase thing as well. It's like, well, that's a very interesting sort of niche and a very new thing that you're doing, but is that a thing that most guitarists are interested in? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, but that's my first time gigging it. I will put together like a full gigging preset, I think, because I think that would be the next sort of step for me in terms of, you know, trying this thing, is putting it on like a normal sort of function gig with a normal electric guitar, whereas this was very much sort of like a more jazzy, like all you need is deluxe reverb tone type thing, but with the added benefit of just sticking in a sax just for the banter. Anyway, catch you in another video soon. No issues. Yeah, once you, I guess, make sure that you've got plenty of level getting into there from the mic, so use that mic trim in the global settings, and then, you know, take a bit of time to figure out what it is that this page actually does, because you can mix individual paths now, which is, I think, quite clever and quite important.
Yeah.